Okay, what has happened in your career since completing the program with us?
And what has happened in my career since I completed the program is that, professionally wise, I haven't completely changed my, let's say, I haven't fully submerged into finding a new job, because one of the things that I realized in going through this whole career process was that there was other things that I needed to complete or that are important to me to go through before I even get to that stage. So let's say, for example, I realized that for the kind of vision that I have for my professional career, I want to and I need to go through certain academic processes or get new knowledge. So Soul Career really propelled me to kind of solidify an idea that I had for a while, but I was putting it off. So Soul Career really gave me that structure to say, all right, this is it. You have a structure, you have to do it, you have this idea that needs to be implemented. So in that sense, I the program helped me to really get it done, at least the looking for that education that I wanted, apply for the program because it's part of my 90-day plan, right? And then another thing that happened professionally thanks to the program was that I am more selective on things that may come my way, especially after, and I keep mentioning the pandemic because obviously it has had an influence, but you know uh, uh, pre-COVID, let's say, I was thinking career-wise, well, I need to move, I need to do this, I need this kind of organization, I need this. And I realized that, flexibility and being able to adapt to different, environments and being able to work remotely, being able to work from home, being able to just to be flexible as a professional has become super important, right? So, opportunity wise, I think I've been more selective in looking for opportunities. I'm just not looking for the sake of looking, but I'm looking, for opportunities that really respond to who I am, which is a great realization. I don't feel the fear that I felt before career-wise, before the program, because I think before the program, um, I was full of a lot of fears about, who I am, what do I want, how do I want to work, and then going through the different stages of the program. Now I'm very clear, and therefore the fear kind of dissipated. Of course, I have worries about, work and income and just as everybody else, but I somehow is not fear anymore. Make sense?
Yes, and I love that. I love hearing that. And actually, you're probably my 20th check-in call now. And a lot of people over and over say that the big transformation they've achieved is just being very solid in who they are and what they want and not accepting anything less. So let me ask you, what, if anything, do you think is missing right now in your career?
Right now, I think um, missing. I think it might be a little more structure, because once you realize who you are and what you want, really and truly, there's a lot of opportunities that you can come across. And you may feel tempted, which happens to me, tempted to, well, I'm a consultant, right? So I feel tempted to take them all. because they all feel interesting. They all, speak to me. They all. So I think I'm missing, really landing into more structure, more, you know, um, um, peace, let's say, or to, you know, I don't know how to explain that, but it's a little bit like the program empowers you a lot and propels you a lot and energizes you a lot. And I keep on thinking about that chapter on mindfulness and trying to find those moments of check-in when you say, yes, I feel empowered, I feel energized, there's opportunities, I know where to look, I know what to look for, but also kind of, slow down and look at it in a very calm, or use a very calm approach to that. I think I'm still missing that. I think when I was going through the program, I felt like the part of identifying companies and the dream job list was one of the most difficult ones. But I realized that mindfulness is actually the critical part of it, and you can do it when you're going through the program, but sustaining it is a big challenge. So I do think that keeping mindfulness in my career right now is something that is still missing.
Mm, okay, interesting. And that's a lifelong process, mindfulness and cultivating mindfulness. It's a practice, it's not a destination, right? So you mentioned you've been getting quite a lot of opportunities coming your way. Can you tell us about some of them?
Well, yes, uh, there's two things that I think influenced a lot, a new wave of opportunities. One was that I really revamped my social media presence, and just going through the process of building a branding, a personal branding, and putting it on LinkedIn and really restructuring my profile helped in, I think getting rid of a lot of fluff or extra words that really weren't saying anything. And so now I feel like people in my network are, I think, are responding to that clarity, or that, more structure and straightforwardness into what is it that I want to do. And they are responding in ways, reaching out to me in terms of, just wanting to network, wanting to mentor, or for me to provide some mentorship, which is, kind of a shocker because I've never seen myself as a mentor. I need mentors. And then also, consultancies and firms abroad that have identified talent in me that can help them deliver impactful projects, which is part of my vision and my branding, that I do want to deliver and implement projects that have a good impact. So I gotten, a couple of people that have reached out for me outside of Jamaican borders, um, wanting to understand more about my professional profile, and wanting to consider me or to be part of their teams, even without knowing too much about my further experience, just with the information that they can find on LinkedIn and my word.
I remember it was a lot of pain. We spent a lot of time working on the professional mission statement and getting rid of those fluff words. So I'm glad it actually worked out, right? You were
It
in a lot
does.
of pain during that part of the process.
It's a painful process. I'm so glad that you remember how painful it was, because and I have to adjust or retract that. Actually, that is the most difficult part of the program. but it's so powerful that once you go through it and you complete it and you go through the painfulness of it, then it's just clarity. It's just clarity, and then whatever may come in your way, it's either, response to that or no, which makes the process completely easy in terms of career. You can say yes, no, to in a very straightforward way. So opportunities may come, or I even will feel tempted to apply for things just, because, I need a job. I don't feel like that anymore.
Exactly, exactly. So, what would you say has been the biggest successes you've had coming out of the program?
Definitely, after completing a Soul Career, and realizing that one of the biggest, missing pieces was advancing studies, especially because I work in climate change. I like working in climate change, and it's let's say a topic that is right now beyond just a trending topic, but it has many, many fronts, many sides to it. So I realized that definitely advancing studies relating to climate change was a big part of what I needed to do or what I want to do. So after completing or putting together that kind of 90-day plan and my plan that goes beyond this year, right? I felt propelled to apply for a master's program, and I found a really good program that also speak to what I wanted to do with my career and who I am. So I was lucky enough to find a program that really I think reflects me. So I applied and I got accepted for a master's program in climate change and development at the University of London, which I'm starting in October, in the School of Indian Studies. So that is something I'm very excited about. And if it wasn't for Soul Career, I probably will have, keep putting it off and just not focused on that. So that is yes, a huge success from the program.
Awesome. I love that. And as you said, a lot of opportunities are flowing to you. I know you're even getting some headhunting and so on, which is fantastic. And I'm very proud of you. Like, I'm proud of all of you guys. So, the
Yeah,
last,
yeah.
yeah,
The headhunting, it was, like I said, it was, I think, a really interesting thing that happened to me after I completed the program and the branding part and revamping my social media presence, because I have been contacted by a couple of consultancy firms outside of Jamaican borders to basically to offer me jobs as project manager, and because I think I really managed to narrow down what is it that I do and how I do it, with again without the fluff and without trying to use very complex phrases. Sometimes when you are trying to present yourself in the professional world, a lot of us fall into the mistake of, just going into these very complex phrases and sentences and statements. And I remember when we were workshopping my brand statement, you told me, listen, you just, keep it simple, use simple words, words that really, say what you want to say in a much direct way without using, you know, uh, I don't know,
jargon.
too simple or too jargon or too much jargon. And I remember that day very, very well. And I think that had a lot of impact in building a brand statement that people can relate to. and that has helped also with the headhunting, because I see it that when they contact me for headhunting, and that is something that never happened to me, Lisandra, that people offer me jobs without me applying. I mean, that is for me, it's something that I never thought I was going to be in that position. Granted, yes, I do have my experience, and I have, made some good choices in my professional career, but I was not translating that to the people, to the sector, to the professional, world. I was not speaking, career. So that, I think, that process of building a brand statement, and just using simple yet, good words and impactful words that people can relate to, was a really good experience for me.
Yeah, I think what a lot of people do is just dump information and hope that the recruiter will figure out where to place them. And what's really important is you telling people where to put you and where you need to go in a very simple way. So last question for you. Well, I have two last questions for you. One is, what would you say to a friend about Soul Career?
Well, I've been selling Soul Career from day one. So I can tell you very easily what I have told my friends, that I have tried to sell Soul Career to. I think that, every time that I talk to friends, I always find a common denominator challenge, which is which is not really knowing who they are outside of organizations or companies, or the backup of some agency or anything, and I think Soul Career can really help you, um, just build your brand as you are, without anybody, and I think that's a very powerful thing, when you don't depend on anybody's logo but your own, when you don't depend on anybody's name but your own, and you empower yourself, and you build your name, and you build your profile as you are, you know you don't need to put in any fancy logos of anybody else around you, because you know who you are, you know what you bring to the table. And so I find that a lot of people struggle with not finding who they are outside of that. So I always tell my friends, listen, you need to work on your own brand. You need to work on who are you, and what you want to do, and how you want to go around and do it. And if you need to get some mentorship and career coaching for that, we'll go ahead and do it. You invest in a lot of things, and in clothing, and in trips, and in traveling, and gyms, and all of that. Why not invest in something that is really going to propel you and your professional career to places that you don't even know?
Exactly, exactly. So the last thing, and we're almost out of time. So just one last thing is, I am actually reaching a lot of American clients now. And the ones that feel really drawn to me are the ones who have an accent in corporate America and feel like they're sidelined or are not taken as seriously, because of something so simple as that. And you have an accent. It's not a Jamaican accent, but you're in Jamaica. So tell us a little bit about your background and who you are, so that our viewers can be inspired by your story.
Well, I am originally from Guatemala City, born and raised, from Caribbean, father. So I live now. I live and work in Jamaica. I fully work in an English speaking environment, but of course my native language is Spanish. Um, and I think, also, working cross culturally is challenging. is it goes beyond accent. It goes, further than just maybe not knowing words or how to express yourself in the language or in the environment you're working at. I think, however, I do think that you can use that in your advantage, because you help when you are a person that can work cross culturally, can bring a different cultural perspective into the table. When you can bring different ideas, or you have a different background, if you use it in your advantage, which means placing importance and respect to the culture you're working at, and being humble about understanding who is around the table, how people like to communicate, how people like things to be done, but also being assertive in not trying to hide who you are or where you're from, or the fact that you speak English or Chinese, or you speak Italian, or whatever it is that you do. You don't need to try to hide yourself. I think the power is in using that different background, and trying to find ways to match it and synergize and relate to the culture where you're working at. And I think you have to do that effort. I feel like it's not something that happens from one day to the next day. It's a process. But once people realize that you have a respect for their culture, that you are interested in their culture, and that you have things that you can relate to, you have to be open about those things that you find that connects the two cultures, right? And once you can transmit that message, I think people start opening to you, and they can appreciate what you bring to the table.
So thanks, Anaitee. I'm loving the whole energy shift. It's very visible, right? Everything happens from the inside out. Success happens from the inside out, and I can see it on you now. So amazing.
Yes, yes, definitely. I thank you a lot, Lisandra, for reaching out. I do think that the follow-ups is something very important, the check-ins. I personally like the fact that, I still have the program available to me if I want to just go through it again
Mhm.
with a refresh mindset. And I think I'm gonna do it. I definitely going to try to just restart now a different Anaita from 6 months ago,
Yeah.
and see what else I can pick up that is maybe new, better, and bigger. So
And
I'm
let
just
me
gonna go
know.
and
Let
do.